we are. It's fantastic. Okay, so I love the idea of a houseboat. A houseboat is very exciting, and the houseboats are probably going to be moored along a pier.
At the end of a pier.
At the end of a pier?
I think that for all these things in the water, I think that having the water being your moat effectively is, like a houseboat on the river often does have like a long, wider dock associated with it.
Right.
But I still think so even if there's a dock on shore that's horizontal or along the shore, a boardwalk, I still think it needs one or maybe two kind of gangplanks that connect to the shore. And maybe for the houseboat, literally, I would do the two, because a lot of them only have one, so it's an opportunity to do two.
Okay. All right. So since my lighter gray pen is trying to give up the ghost, and I refuse to let it, I am going to use the darker gray pen, the marker. And in this particular case, I think a bird's eye perspective of what this houseboat moored along a pier could look like. So,
interesting source.
Yes, I love those curves.
I was trying to find a houseboat like I saw in Cambridge, England.
So I'm just going to indicate some perspective lines here as if I'm looking down on something, and somewhere way up there is the horizon line. And for our boat, I think we're just going to occupy about this space right here. Indicate some lines. Actually, I'm going to go a little longer. Positioning, there we go. So this is the basic shape, the bottom of our houseboat. And I am going to indicate some kind of pier along here. And actually I think because we want to have our houseboat at the end of the pier, just do something like that. And our houseboat, let's give it a little bit of a point on there, maybe on the back, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so the advantage of using a really dark marker on paper is that as I go do this again with the lighter marker, I can actually see everything behind it. So I'll be tracing my original composition, and hopefully my pen will continue to survive. It's like, seriously, what happened to the pen?
We can send somebody else outside the lockout to get you a pen if there's it's Saturday still, right? So 5:30. It might be too late to get something.
Art stores. That's okay. If we get to the point where I just have to do it with marker, I will. That's honestly one of the best things about being an artist. It's if I have a stick and mud, I'm going to try and make art. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is indicate the pier here. And I like the idea of that being in shadow. So I'm just going to follow that line again. I think we're going to go with a stone pier, and then we'll have some type of, oh, you know what, I kind of blew that. We're going to try this one again. And the reason is that the houseboat is in the foreground, and I need to be drawing the houseboat first. Now, I've seen some interesting shapes for houseboats, and I really like the idea of the curve. So
people are telling me that Staples should be up until 7 p.m. if you want somebody to run.
I don't know if Staples carries gray Prismacolors.
They might. I don't think I have a runner here though. Let me go check. I'll see if we have a runner. You never know.
Chris is out to eat. While you're out,
I'll give him a call. Let me see if I can find you.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. Just want to let everyone know, yes, I've actually poured myself a new Macallan. We are going to have a fun night, so I hope you will join us and have a good time. As I think we're about 5:30 now Central Time. As we roll past 8 or 9, I'm confident that everyone is going to be in here. We'll be talking with you, answering questions, having a great time. We're going to go all night long until 9:59 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so as I was saying, because the houseboat is actually in the foreground, I need to be drawing the houseboat first. So, and I like the idea of curves, and I kind of like the idea of like a pointed curve and then maybe a curved shape in back, something that is elegant and organic. So I'm going to get a little more curve to it like that. And then I'm going to indicate the front of the boat there and the back. And I think I'll indicate a series of windows. This is just an interesting shape here. And of course, what would a houseboat be without some type of upper deck so you can get outside and enjoy? You can see how the perspective lines behind underneath the paper that I'm using to make sure that my perspective is consistent. I won't go as far as saying accurate, but I do want it to try and be as accurate as possible. And then, of course, our houseboat will have this upper deck and stairway. And now I'm thinking the houseboat needs a bar. Okay, and then these windows, put some interesting shape here on the side. You see that? Yep. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and draw the dock. I'll get the edge of the dock there, and you won't actually be able to see the gangplank that the player would walk on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my perspective guide that I was using. So now I have something that looks honestly a little bit like the Yellow Submarine. So just as with the Gypsy wagon, I am going to jump online and I'm going to research houseboat. So okay, here we go. So houseboat. Love having the world in my pocket these days. I'll go to images. It's telling me houseboat is one word. I will confirm that. Okay, and we have some pretty interesting houseboats. So when I think of houseboats, I think of something like that. That's what comes to mind when I think of houseboat. And actually, it looks like we've got something that's kind of organic there. That's interesting. Oh, actually, that's very interesting. Made out of bamboo. Wonderful. Let's see what else we have. Here we go. Here's something that looks pretty. That's a little more makeshift, but I kind of like that shape. And I like those side covers. So maybe the windows I have on the side here work. So I'm going to bring up this image. This is going to be my go-to reference for the houseboat. It's like, all right, I like those curves. I like what's happening there. I kind of like the front of that boat. I like the fact that they've got the guy pulling. And I'll leave that up. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my marker here and indicate a few more shapes, just reinforce it. So I like what's happening there on the front. I want to make sure that the bow, actually I've never driven a houseboat, so I'm not sure if you drive it in forward or backward, but if you know, I don't. So we'll put some supports here. We'll put an indication of a railing. So I'm going to put a little curve on the roof there. And then I think these windows, I'm just going to do like that reference had just this concept here, and do these curved windows on the side. And with our sunlight coming from this direction, again, oh my gosh, my pen is so dying. I'm just going to indicate shadows on this side. Wow, I think my pen did die. Okay, so we might actually, we might be markerless, but that's okay. Through the magic power of the Sharpie, greatest pen ever invented. I've been using this since I was in art school in the late 80s. It's fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. All right, I'm going to go to my small pen, and I'm going to start drawing the simple outline. All right, so I'm going in with my thin pen to start indicating all the lines. I'm going to check my reference one more time, which went away. Okay, so my phone's not as cool as I thought it was. Houseboat. We go to images, and
we have a houseboat there too. Fort Laramie houseboat.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can you see that? Okay, I've got a. Sorry, I have the monitor directly behind me over my right shoulder, so I want to make sure you can see that. So that's my reference for the houseboat. I really like those shapes. Actually, that's a different one, but I think it's the same boat. So I've got that guy in mind, and because I have the bird's eye perspective, I'm starting with the top, working my way down. And we're going to get, what do you think, Lord British? Should we do some wood roofing, or do you think it should be thatched? Or
I think wood.
Wood?
Wood,
okay.
on the, because I think at sea, even if you weren't going very far or very often at sea, I think thatch would seems to be...
that wouldn't do well in a hurricane.
Yeah, I don't think, it just doesn't seem quite right.
So I know we have weather. Weather was at 1.2 million.
We have weather.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we're well past weather.
Are we going to have hurricanes?
That is a good question. We'll have to ask the devs.
All right. We'll see what they say about hurricanes. Okay, is that? Oh man, that is my head. All right, so I'm gonna try and.
Want me to move that for you, or?
Nah, it's when I draw, I like to get in really close, so it makes the camera kind of hard.
Well, here, you just keep drawing, then I'll be your camera operator.
All right.
I think that if we slide it back this way just a hair, this up just a hair.
So I've got my lines for wood shingles that we'll put on top of the upper level veranda patio. I think also one of the things I'm going to do is just indicate some support beams sticking out either end to give it some visual interest.
And people could hang their fishing
like
tackle and laundry and stuff off.
Perfect. Actually, lanterns.
Lanterns.
How's
even
that
better.
sound?
Lanterns. Even better.
Yeah. We got a little lantern here.
Oh, the 1.6, by the way, everybody, is the combination of Kickstarter and the Shroud of the Avatar site. I need to update.
So, we've got this little wall on top of our houseboat. You can come up here and enjoy the view. Always rough when you draw some bad perspective. And then I'm also going to indicate where the stairs would be so that you know that you get up here from the interior of your houseboat. So as I indicate the upper deck area, it's going to be built out of wood, so I want to indicate those support lines. And put a couple of supports
always keep in mind, by the
there.
way, too, I think I'm sure you are, but one of the trickiest parts about making something that's not just art, but for a game, this game, is you always have to have egress, ladder, staircases that get you between floors.
Yes. And they have to be big enough not only for the character, but so the camera can fit through.
And the camera fits through with you. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
There are definitely some technical challenges involved, but I think we should make all those technical decisions right now while Chris is out doing shots when we're working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we've got the, I guess the window shades is what we would call this. We want to put a center line down here in the center of the boat. We will indicate, actually I kind of like the idea of this guy being inset. So I'm going to pull that out, pull this in, have the boat.
If you want, it's almost 6. Actually.
Oh, yes, it is.
So we're going to start working on getting him in. But
Yeah.
Gina mentioned something about maybe starting a new hangout, just to kind of start over with audio, all that stuff. Kind of
That's
wash down
fine.
and start over. So
Yep, that's
she'll
fine.
come in here and probably start working on that.
No problem. Just keep going. You got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We're
No worries.
gonna bump you for a little bit.
All right.
But
For Lord British and Chris Roberts, I will gladly step aside. I think the scotch is getting to me.
had one or two already, have you?
When I started, I was talking about how when I like to work, I need to have something to drink. So usually it's coffee or tea, but since today is a very special day and we are on a countdown, I'm going to go with scotch. And, you know, it's always harder when you start at, what, 3:30 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone else started like at 10 a.m.
And it's not
Hi,
anything
good
anytime
morning.
soon.
We're going to do a shot. Okay, so I've used my thin pen to actually indicate the structure here. I'm going to hit the pier, and we've got the pier, and then we've got the houseboat. It's like, okay, cool. It's actually looking pretty good. Liking that shape, a bit organic and unusual, certainly going to stand out. And I'm going to go ahead and indicate that the rest of this boat is built out of shingles. Excuse me. I actually really like the reference there, and I think we can very easily create a medieval version of that. Get some type of keel indication there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and, just like with the upper deck there, I'm going to indicate these wood supports and carry that same visual theme all the way through here. And then on this forward one, you know, this one here, I probably should have put it in the center. Doesn't matter, because we're just a rough concept here. I'm going to go ahead and indicate a lantern out there in front. And then on the back end here, we'll keep the same visual theme going. All right, I'm liking that. So we have a, oh, actually I'm going to indicate some windows. So you've got a houseboat. I'm going to do traditional windows with mutton bars. Okay. So from my thin pen, I'm going to come back here to my marker that has died. And it is my hope that this thing will survive. We'll see how far we get. Not very far at all. All right. And we're getting something. Oh, Prismacolor. It's a love-hate relationship with these things. What's funny is I have a few chart pack markers at home, but I didn't bring them because the stink of them is, oh, it's hideous. Hideous. Actually, I suppose at this point they're probably outlawed in California. Oops.
You don't say.
Scotch is definitely kicking in. Okay.
Are you telling me your lines are going to start getting all crookedy?
Well, that's why I decided to shift to organic. Oh, this is going to be a very organic houseboat.
More organic than you would have thought a few minutes ago,
right.
Perhaps.
I'll have a cup of coffee before I start on the cassoulet.
You guys don't want a drunken architect doing your new home, do you?
It's all right. We've got Bob. Bob will make it all good. Okay, and for the windows, I'm actually going to go ahead and use the dark marker to indicate where the windows are. And again, these dark markers will actually lighten up over time, indicate the inside of the boat, and yeah.
And so do your guests board into the bow section and maybe perhaps the stern section, or where do guests get aboard? Are there doors on the opposite side of the windows?
It's actually on the opposite side, right where the pier was,
Mm-hmm.
and I had started drawing that first, and then I realized, oh, the houseboat is actually going to be blocking the view.
Right,
But
yeah, that's fine. Just
on the other side of the houseboat is actually an egress,
Mm-hmm.
so you can get in and out, no problem. And of course, as always, the cast shadow from the object is critical.
That poor thing.
I know.
It's trying.
And Gina, are you bringing up a new hangout?
I am, and that's why we are going to be going offline in just a moment. I want to give you one more second to try to get some last minute.
All right.
All right.
So at this point, I'm actually going to go with the thick pen, and I'm going to indicate the silhouette of our houseboat. I'm not going to do all of it, just the big beats there. I think that should work pretty well. And then I'm going to use the medium one to bring out some of the details. Actually, I'm going to come back here with the thick one, and on like the window covers, I'll hit the end of those. And this will be the third time that I've actually gone through this, so I know you're familiar with the process. So Gina, anytime you want to cut me out of the loop,
Okay.
I'm good. I will finish this for the community, and when I come back later tonight to work on a galleon and cassolet, I'll show you where I ended up at.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stephen. This was
You're
amazing.
welcome. And thank you for supporting us. Thank you for participating and sharing your feedback. These ideas that I've all drawn over the last 2 hours came from you. I and the team are greatly appreciative. Okay. Get the important reading glasses. Now, for those of you who missed it, actually, I finished the houseboat, and I can tell you that, so.
At the back, I think.
The first one I did, this little keep, one of our community actually built this in 3D and posted it.
You got to be kidding.
No, this is built in 3D. And we thought Bob was fast.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Built in 3D.
Yes, it's actually up on the chat or someone. If you're still up, you who built this, please send a link again to the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of lines there. But
That's great.
yes,
That's really great.
Gina knows where it's at. Okay. So earlier we were talking about some of the cool things, like as a houseboat or as a baron, you get a houseboat. This could be a potential houseboat.